tonight, a real special treat. I got a long-term buddy of mine, John Limbocker, who's on here tonight. First time I met John, I was sitting in the crowd in like a couple rows back from the stage, and I could see John up there. John was up there with this bunch of internet marketers that were on there, some just amazing people. Ryan Dice was interviewing them, and I was sitting there, and it actually turns out that Mark Anthony Bates was sitting to my left. We kind of made friends a little bit. He barely remembered me at that time, but I remembered him. He's an amazing dude in himself, and I was listening to John talk and kind of tell stories about, you know, how to do search engine optimization, how to market your business online. And John was like a savant up there. Like everybody talks, and all of a sudden everybody stopped and listened to John, you know, and that was really cool. And, you know, actually John worked with Ryan very shortly after that, and he came up with a program. I don't remember the name of the program, but I know I bought it because I was like, man, I like John so much then. I like what he was talking about. I knew what he was talking about. I at the time was doing some local business stuff, and I turned around and I connected with John, and I signed to John's program, and then John turned around and taught us everything he knew. Like there's no curtains behind it or anything. He literally was sharing everything you know how to do, and that was the cool part about John. He was very open about it. You know, it was like there was nothing holding back. You know, he wasn't trying to hold something back, and if you had a question, he'd always answer it. He was super helpful. His wife Barb is a friend of mine as well. Super great people. And that was one of the coolest things. So that year, I remember one of the coolest things that John did was at Christmas time, you know, he did this offer, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And like, I want to do that offer myself this year, where I basically I'm going to copy you, John. You know, hey, you got to copy the best, right? So John did this offer where it says, hey, come with me to my house, and you can work with me for the day. And I think you charged $1,000 at the time to do that. Literally, I know you charge a lot more now, but it was $1,000 to come for the day. You'd work on the person's business, but part of the deal was that money wasn't going in John's pocket. He was taking that money, and they actually went down to the local toy store and just went crazy buying toys. You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. They literally bought so many toys. You had the Batmobile at the time, and they filled up the old school Batmobile, right? This is from like 70s Batmobile, right? And literally filled this whole Batmobile up and full of toys and full of all this stuff, and it's all surrounding the Batmobile. And then John calls me up. He's like, hey, do you know any Marines that need toys? You know, I'm in the Marines and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll find some. I was like, I'll message the Garcia. I'll find some guys that need some toys. So I make some phone calls, and they show up to John's house, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you have so many toys, we can't even fit them in the truck. So I had to like make multiple runs to go back and get more toys and stuff like that. And John's been doing, he's been doing that for years now. You know, that was back in, I don't know, it was like 2009, I think, or something like that. First time he did that. I can't remember, but
I think it was 2009, 2010, somewhere around there.
Yeah. You've been doing that for a long time. And that's kind of who John is to me. I mean, he's a really great person. That's besides knowing all this marketing stuff over here, you know, when you get to see, that's like John's backyard. And I'll let him tell the story about the client that actually bought his, you know, they literally built his whole backyard for free. I mean, that's an awesome story in itself. I don't want to steal your thunder on that, but just one other story for John. So there was a program that I had gotten into, and he taught me so much that I turn around and I use that for my clients. And literally they were ranking first up on the search engine for their products and services. And I wasn't just ranking on like the top spot. I was ranking on like the whole page, you know, so every single listing on the page was actually my client. And literally, you know, it was kind of crazy. I went through some like a tough time about 6 years ago. I was going through a divorce, and just, you know, unfortunately, you know, it was pretty nasty. And the thing is I took the knowledge that John had actually taught me. Now it had been actually a couple of years since I'd really done SEO and stuff like that. And I approached the owner of the daycare facility, who I think we found her on like the 10th page of Google. And literally we could not find a daycare center that was available to take our kids at the time, right? It was that bad. So literally I went and I approached the daycare center. I said, hey, listen, I was like, I know you don't know me and what I do. This is what I do. I couldn't even find you on the internet. it was a $2,000 bill every month I was having to pay this daycare center, right? $2,000 just for childcare, right? So I approached the daycare person. I said, listen, you guys are about, 60% full capacity. I know that if you're saying you can handle another 30 kids in here, literally, I know with what I know how to do online that I can bring customers in your doors that's more going to pay for what my kids would actually cost. And the lady's like, she's like, listen, I believe you. Let's see what you can do. So I helped that woman within 6 months. That whole daycare center was full to capacity. And for 3 years, literally 3 years later, she was able to sell that business literally way more money than originally because she had the daycare center was actually full because of the work that I had done, back on the stuff that I learned from John. So John probably didn't even know that any of that. But literally the stuff that John's going to share with you guys tonight about analyzing your customer, knowing your market, how to approach them, how to create that connection with your customer, and then go find out where these customers are actually hanging out. Guys, get your notepads and pens out because when the God of SEO comes on, right, you better listen. So that's all I got to say, John. I'm gonna turn it over to you, brother.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for all of that. And, your story is actually quite common in my world. There's been a lot
I
of,
know you hear these things like every day.
yeah,
All your clients.
there's been so many people that I've taught how to do this stuff that have actually made careers out of it. And it's just, it's awesome. Some of them, transitioned out of SEO during some of the changes and, some of them stuck with it and stuck it out and they're still doing it today. So it's pretty cool. And, like you were saying with the Marines, that, one of the coolest things about the Marines when we do the Toys for Tots drive every Christmas is every time we do it, I do it out of my house here, and we generate more toys than the biggest corporations in Orange County. They tell me that every year. They said, you just kicked butt on all the major corporations, in Orange County. They know now. They don't send a little Bob truck. They send a semi out here. So it's last year, we did a really cool thing last year. I sent an email out to all my local customers and said, hey, come over, we're having a party. There's going to be milk and cookies and, there'll be a sleigh and Santa to take pictures, bring the kids. And we actually did like a little carnival out in front of our house. And, we talked to the Marines about it and we asked them if they could have a couple of dress blues out with us and they sent them out. They knew, when we talk, they should listen. So they actually had a couple of guys out doing pictures, and it was really cool. But
That's super cool, John.
again, I mean, we filled the truck.
Filling that truck, guys. He can do it without the knowledge that's in his ears. So, John, I appreciate you being here tonight, guys. And, get your questions ready, guys. Have your pen and paper, take notes, and fire away in the chat box because John will circle back around and answer everybody's questions, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem with questions. And I can pretty much field questions on just about anything you want. So don't hold back. I've been doing this stuff. I actually got started in about 1995, believe it or not.
Before Google was around, guys. Yeah.
That's right.
I don't think Yahoo was even around. Was Yahoo even around? AOL was pretty much the search engine at that point.
Yahoo actually had their domain name bought, but they weren't up live yet. So, as far as search engines back then, you're talking like Alta Vista, that was the big one. WebCall, Lycos, all these weird ones that, most people today haven't even heard of. So that was kind of the world I started out in. And it's interesting when I first got started getting traffic for businesses, it was just kind of a weird story how it all got started. And we didn't even know what to call it. There was no SEO, and there was no name for it. And the way I sold it originally was I had trouble selling websites. And how I even got into this was kind of bizarre to begin with because I was a high-end commercial photographer. And, I had all these major customers all over the country and some of them even out of the country. And I would do their product photography for them, their special effects. And it was a very specialized thing. I made a lot of money doing it because very few people knew how to do it. And so I worked with some of the biggest companies in the world. And I would literally go sit in their boardrooms and participate with their art directors, their ad agencies. So I got an incredible education in marketing while I was in that photography arena. That has really kind of come to what I'm doing today, but it kind of gives that start of where I came from. And the thing that pushed me into the internet, I didn't know anything about computers. I mean, nada. Didn't even know how to turn one on at the time. But I heard about this thing that was coming out called Photoshop. And I started looking into it. And when I saw what it was, I was like, oh man, this is the end of my gravy train ride.
Yeah,
no,
the
no
picture.
longer are they going to need what I do. You know, my specialty was basically irrelevant overnight. And seeing that, I'm like, what am I going to do now? You know, I've got to make a major change here, or I'm going belly up, and I don't like that idea. So I figure I've got all these customers. What is it that they're going to want next? And it was this little thing called the internet. And you know, most of the people in my circle, my friends, my family, they didn't even know what I was talking about. They're like saying, "Enter what?" And I remember my father-in-law. He told me, he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket." And a few years later, he kind of changed his tune on that one. But
That was back when people were afraid to put their credit card in the computer, right?
oh yeah, yeah, that was
Oh,
just
nobody's gonna buy anything over the internet. That's scary.
yeah, that was unheard of. But anyway, I went to these customers. I went to my existing customers and I said, you know, there's this thing coming called the internet. I was explaining it to them and they were all over it. You know, they loved the idea of it. But here's the thing. I was trying to get them to build websites with me and they didn't have budget for that. That was like new. A lot of these corporations, they've got budgets set aside and they've got to fill those budgets. So if you can come in with something that they've got budget for, it's easy. But they did not have budget for websites. So they had what I call a discretionary budget, and they could spend on whatever they wanted a small amount. So I told them, I said, look, all you need for a website is a hosting account. The hosting account, depending on the customer, it was between 100 and 500 bucks a month. And again, back then, nobody knew what that was worth. So they're like, oh, okay, that sounds reasonable. So I said, I'll build you a free website. All you have to do is host it with me. So here I'm knocking out like 3 of these things a week. I'm busting out 3 websites a week using a program called NetObject Fusion where I didn't have to know any code. Here I found a tool, I leveraged a tool and used the internet as my horsepower. So anyway, long story short, before too long, I had 100, 200 websites built and hosted. And at that point, I'm looking at my income and I got all these, $100 to $500 a month coming in. And I'm like, holy shit, I don't have to work anymore. This is like, I've never experienced that before. It was the first time. I'm like, this is where life gets interesting. So what I did was I went back to those customers and I said, okay, here's what you've got. You've got this website, and what that is, it's an electronic brochure. And I related it to something that they knew what it was. And I said, now in the real world, you would never take that electronic brochure and spend money to create it and then not use it. Leave it in the box and just put it under your desk. That's not how we do business, right? You create that as a marketing tool. And the way that is a powerful tool in your business is to take it out of the box and put it in the hands of the right people. And they were totally on board with it. And they said, yeah, that sounds great. And again, I didn't know what to call it. There was no SEO term. I just described it like that. We're going to distribute your electronic brochure, get it in the right hands, the right people, and you're going to make money. And they bought into it hook, line, and sinker.
Ate it up.
And they have budget for advertising.
Bingo.
So it was like, that's how I got in. That's the whole start of where the godfather of SEO came from.
It's really the godfather of continuity, guys. If you hadn't figured it out, John doesn't do anything or doesn't have continuity attached to it.
That's
So I want to explain that real quick, guys. So John doesn't do anything he doesn't get paid for over and over and over and over again. Now you had how many websites again, John? I'm just gonna do math from Marines here on my little calculator.
at the time I had, I think probably about, when I stopped actively building sites, I think I had about 300 to 400. About 300 to 400 sites.
300 sites. and on average, what were you bringing in from each site?
And they're at the low end, they were paying $99 a month. The majority of them were at about $299.
Okay, so let's say 300 times 300 is $90,000 a month.
That's about
and that's every month. Every month, guys. Like John doesn't get out of bed tomorrow, and he still has $90,000 coming in a month from his websites at the time. And then John, you went back and you sold him more services. That's a gold nugget number 2, guys. It was like once you have a customer, you treat them right and help them get more customers, and they go out and do more stuff. So John, on average, I know you don't know exact number, but if you had
this was out of those customers from photography.
Yeah, that's all your photography customers.
Yeah.
So John, you took these customers and you saw, there's so many gold nuggets here. I don't want to steal the presentation here, but you went and you saw an opportunity. It's the whole Who Moved My Cheese, guys, right? If anybody read that book, get the book, Who Moved My Cheese. And John saw the cheese was drying up. It was getting old and it was going away, right? And he immediately turned around and says, all right, I'm going to go find new cheese. So John went out and found some new cheese of $90,000 a month, whether he has to actually do the work or not at that point, right? So at that time, right, the next step that happened in the equation is you went out and you helped these customers even further. Now, John, on average, what would you say those customers actually bought for their advertising packages on a monthly basis?
Well, the way I would do SEO back then was whatever their monthly fee was going to be. And to give you an idea, probably the lowest monthly fee I had for an SEO package back then was like $2,500 a month.
All right, so that's 90,000, and then you had 300 of those, and then
now,
times how much?
To be fair, not all of them went for the SEO. It was only a
take a guess, ballpark. How many went for the SEO?
I would say right out of the gate, probably about 10% of them.
Okay, so 250 new customers, right, that you had there. 250 customers paid $2,500 a month.
Yeah. And
okay,
those SEO packages back then, you know, the way we would do that is they all had like a 10 times setup fee. So whatever the monthly fee was, there was always a 10 times setup fee to get them started.
Yeah. So the reason $625,000, John, $625,000 coming in, and then you charge a setup fee of $25,000 at the time.
And the reason for that is because I took the risk out of it. I said, this is month to month. If you don't like it, you know, there's no big deal. You just tell me and we stop the billing. But here's the thing. If they didn't have much up front, how likely are they to stop? Pretty likely, right? When they put up 25 grand, they're going to want to get the return on that investment. So they're not apt to stop in 2 to 3 months. When I tell them, hey, you know, this is a long-term program, this is the way it is, none of them pulled out. So now, had I not done that, had I gone the other way and done it the other way and just gone month to month with no setup fee, I would have had huge attrition. So the way I did it, I got virtually no attrition. They all stuck in. They all hung in with it. And
so high on the front side, guys, get that. Another gold nugget, guys. You've been taking notes on this. Just this conversation alone, I don't know how much it's worth, but it's worth a lot. High on the front side, and then a small continuity on the back side.
Yep. That's right.
Small continuity is the 2,500 in this case a month, you know, that brings in, and you charge these companies 25,000 to set up their. So you charge 250 companies times 25. Math for Marines. Let me see, get that. So that's 250 companies times 25,000 is $6.2 million.
It's a lot of bananas, isn't it?
That's a lot of bananas. John's a big gorilla. say, guys, who give me a yes in the chat box if you guys are not fired up just by hearing some of these stories from my man John. Give us some love, guys. Come on over here. Wake up. Let's go, guys.
Now, some of that stuff, what you got to get to is you have to understand the market. The $2,500 a month into those companies was nothing. If you look at their, like, I was privy to see some of their ad budgets because I had worked with them through the photography years. And I knew when they did an ad campaign, they were spending $250,000 a month just to run one ad campaign. So what's $2,500? That's a drop in the bucket. That's not even the tax that they were spending on their ad buys. You know? So when you create a long-term residual income that is such a small amount that they don't feel it, it lasts forever. And this is something, you know, I had a conversation with Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher about.
Can I record this one? I want to get this one on tape here.
Yeah, we got into a conversation about my pricing, and they were telling me I was out of my mind. They were looking at, you know, when I was selling the SEO Dominator Club, and I was selling it for $4.97 to get in. And again, I'm putting a bigger chunk up front, so there's some skin in the game. But then my ongoing monthly was $29.97. So basically, I was positioning myself as, you're going to be able to put me on your team for under $30 a month. $30 a month to have me on your team. So if the shit hits the fan, one call, your problem solved. You know, for $30 a month, under $30 a month. And they told me I was out of my mind. They said, you got to be charging at least $97 a month for that. And I said, nah, I don't think so. I said, that doesn't sound right to me. And they were telling me, well, you're only going to have a stick rate of 90 days. And that's why they charge more, because they know they're not giving enough value to hold the customers in. So they drop out after 90 days. And I showed them my stats. I took them into my back end and I said, why don't we talk about my stick rate and see if you still agree? I had a stick rate of multiple years at $30 a month. So if I upped it to 99 and I got them in for 3 months before they dropped out, 90 days, that's their average stick rate. Basically, I got myself $300, right? In my scenario, $30 a month, in 10 months, I'm still at the 300, but now I'm going to keep them for several more years. It's, you know, it's that whole thing. Don't get greedy up front. You know, the whole idea, a lot of people, you hear people talking about high ticket items. Yes, there's a lot of profit in high ticket items, but I've made a very, very comfortable living, people giving me money a little bit at a time, a lot of them doing it. Like, for instance, I started that SEO Dominator Club in like 2009 or 2008, something like that.
I was a plank holder right here.
Yeah, you actually came in from the Rank Mogul product.
Rank Mogul, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, I created Rank Mogul for Ryan and Perry, and they published me as the Rank Mogul. And then that program only ran for a month, and then it ended. And then I told everybody, I go, hey, if you want the continued support, I just rolled you guys into my SEO Dominator training. And again, you know, it was $29 a month. So as time went on, the peak of that, I had like 850 people in that at the very peak of it. And the funny part is I never really advertised it. You know, a few people did some webinars for me. I spoke at a couple conferences. And, you know, I got 850 people in there, all paying me $30 a month. My commitment to that was an hour a week. So, you know, I don't know if you got your calculator up still, but 30 times, you know, 850, that's a lot of money for an hour a week.
20, is that 24? That's $25,500.
25,000.
Yeah, 25,500.
Yeah.
For 1 hour a week worth of work.
For an hour a week. And I got to tell you, in that 1 hour, I provided incredible value. It was anything you were stuck on. You know, if you were doing SEO You were doing SEO as a business, obviously, either for yourself or for your clients. And to have access to me to solve all your problems every week for $30, come on, you know, what
You
kind of
can't beat that anywhere.
what kind of value is that? No one else was giving that much access to themselves for that little money. And a lot of those people that bought in 2008, they're still giving me the $30 a month.
Yep.
Basically, they're telling me I'm valuable. I'm
I
worth.
think mine was on there until my credit card got canceled on that one. And I was like, where's my emails?
So, think about that. Think about long-term value. That's one of the things that I talk about a lot these days is the lifetime value of your customer. Lifetime value is incredibly important. And the biggest reason, and this is part of the whole new program that I created, but the biggest reason that lifetime value is important is because that will tell you how much you can afford to acquire a customer. So that tells you how much you can afford to spend on SEO. That tells you how much you can afford to spend on paid traffic. So that's really important. If you don't know your numbers, if you don't know what a customer is worth, how do you know how much you can afford to spend to acquire them? If you don't know your numbers, you can go off the rails and be going negative real fast. So that's the deal. And there's so many different programs out now, and everybody has great stuff. I mean, you've been seeing the speakers all week. I've been tuning in. I've been listening to a lot of these guys that are guys that I've known for years. And, I'm listening to their programs and I'm seeing what they're selling. And I'm like, that's some real gold. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. And I didn't figure this out until just recently. A lot of people buy the stuff and, they have the funny term called the shelf help, right? They buy the programs and then they don't use them. They don't get the value out of them. Now, to me, I'm a systems guy. I always want to know why. I always want to know, why do people do what they do? Why does something work? Why does this thing work and this doesn't? I want to know that. So here's what I've figured out. All of the guys that in here that we're calling gods, all of us gods, we can do this stuff. We can do it with our eyes closed. We can do it in our sleep. And to us, it's easy. But you guys, a lot of times, you guys will try it and it doesn't work. And you don't know why. And a lot of times, the gods don't know why. A lot of times, the gurus don't know why. And I've come to the conclusion, I've figured out why, what the difference is. It's not the program. It's, the program works in the right hands. The right tool will do the right job. But this actually came to me in an airport of how this worked. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at, I have a jet facing me straight on, and I'm getting ready to board this jet to come home. And that's when it hit me. And, I get these weird thoughts. I don't know where they come from, but this was like a aha moment. And it was the whole idea of, if you asked a jet pilot, like let's say you asked an airline pilot, how do you fly this plane? It looks like really difficult. You got all this stuff, and so how do you fly it from Los Angeles to New York? And they're going to look at you kind of weird, and they're going to go, well, you climb in the seat, and you get clearance from the tower, and you taxi out, and you take off, and you navigate to New York, and you get clearance from the tower, and you land, right? Sounds pretty easy. But guess what? You and I get in the cockpit and we try that, we're going to kill everybody on board. There's 10,000 little things, little meta programs that are running on autopilot that they're not even thinking about. They're getting an outcome without thinking about it. It's called unconscious competency. Does that make sense? That's why it works for them. And until you get that unconscious competency yourself, you're going to be in a state of confusion and overwhelm. Because how do you think about those 10,000 little things all at once? It'll blow your mind. And you get overwhelmed, and you get run down, and you get bogged down. And that's where you lose momentum. That's where you stop. That's where you stall out. And I see so many people, that are in that state. They just don't even know where to go. They don't know what step to take. They have bought all the stuff. They have no lack of resources. They've got all the tools. They've got everything they need. But they're like the screen here. They got the roads going everywhere, and they're just in overwhelm and total confusion. So that's what I see going on. I see an awful lot of that. And, I go out and I speak at different places, and I've come across that. And here's something I was actually getting confused and overwhelmed with, and I didn't want it to go on. I wanted it to stop. And here's the deal. I'm going out, I'm going to conferences, and I'm speaking about SEO. I'm telling people, here's what you got to do. Here's how it works. Here's what you get out of it. And the crowds loved it. They would literally swarm me when I came off the stage, and they wanted me to do their SEO for them. Sounds great, right? A lot of new customers, a lot of new business. Well, I won't take someone on as a customer unless I know I can help them. So I've got a few qualifying questions that I ask people before I'll accept them as a client. And here's a whole line of people that want to do business with me, and they can't qualify. So I got to turn them away because they're not ready. They're not ready for SEO. And I know it. And I'm not going to sell somebody something that they're not ready for. Because what's going to happen? Ultimately, who's going to be responsible for that? If they buy something from me and it doesn't work, who's responsible? It's me. They're paying me to do something. And they're not going to get the desired outcome. And I don't like that. I don't like that conversation after 90 days when I have to explain to them why their money went out and it didn't come home. So some of the questions I ask, a lot of people are go, whoa, what does he want to know before I can work with him? And here's the first thing. First question is, who is your market? What's the most profitable segment of your market? And I don't mean like, saying, oh, I do the health market. I want to know, what is the most profitable segment of your market? So that's where I go first. And most people don't know. They tell me they serve everyone. And as soon as they tell me they serve everyone, I know they probably don't serve anyone. And they probably can't convert. So all the traffic in the world isn't going to help them out. So that's, and most of them don't get past that. So, when I can't do business with them, it makes me really frustrated of why do I want to go speak and keep doing this? So what I did was I created this program, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and I'll get into the presentation, and we'll kind of go through, and there's a lot of stuff that you guys are going to learn from this presentation. This is, if you put 10% of this into action in your business, it's going to change your life. I guarantee it. It's going to stop this confusion and overwhelm, and it's going to cut that road right down the middle. So you know exactly what to do, what steps to take, and you will come out of it with that unconscious competency. Not to say it's going to be easy. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to learn. But that's what you're going to come out with. You're going to come out with that unconscious competency so you can actually do this stuff. So one of the things I tell everybody is one home run marketing campaign can change your business and change your life forever. And it's really true. When you do this, when you experience this, you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's like the first time you make that first sale and you see that order come in, it really, something clicks. It changes you forever. And it makes you hungry for more. I don't want to say greedy, but it really just, it changes everything about you. I was in the stadium here. This is Albert Pujols when he hit his 600th home run. And I was actually in the stadium when he did it. And it was unbelievable. The feeling of that stadium when it just went crazy. And that's what's going to happen for you. When you finally hit your first home run marketing campaign, you're going to actually feel that. Imagine the feeling that you're going to have when you do that and all the people around you, they're cheering for you. And it's literally changed your life. Imagine the feeling that you're going to get when that happens. Because that's right around the corner. When you follow the system, you're going to be able to create that home run marketing campaign. So here's something that I've kind of followed for a long time, and it's the whole thing about success leaves footprints. Now, Tony Robbins has used this. He changed it around. He says success leaves clues. And no matter what you call it, clues, footprints, whatever, they're always left behind. Now, I added a tagline to that failure also leaves footprints. So, if you're going to follow footprints, let's follow the successful ones. And that saying, that original saying came from Booker T. Washington, that success always leaves footprints. So these footprints, they're kind of like recipes. If you guys have ever cooked something and you didn't follow the recipe and things didn't quite go right, you might know what I'm talking about. There's recipes for a reason. The reason is so you can get the same outcome. And I also equate these recipes to formulas. So those footprints in the sand, those are like recipes. Those are formulas. And the outcome is the same every time. If you follow the footsteps, you're going to get to the exact same spot that the person that left the footprints did. But there's no other way. It's a formula. It's like 1 + 1 is 2. It's 2 yesterday, it's 2 today, and it's going to be 2 tomorrow. It's the formula. So the formulas force outcomes. And if you want a positive outcome, you've got to follow a formula or a recipe that is proven to be successful. That's where predictability comes in your business. When you create a predictable marketing plan, you have a formula for success. Look at McDonald's. McDonald's is a perfect example. They've got footprints for everything. And their recipes don't just go for the cooking. Their recipes go for every process in their business. Again, it's a formula that creates an outcome that's absolutely predictable. That's why, one of the earlier God speakers, they were talking about, if you have a franchise, the franchises are 96% successful. There's that 4% that, something who knows where went wrong. Probably they didn't follow the recipe. The formula wasn't right and they didn't follow it and they got the wrong outcome because of that. But if you look at businesses outside of that, normal business, a lot of them fail. A very huge percentage of them fail, and it's because they don't have the recipes and formulas in place that the franchise had. They don't have that advantage. So here's where, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. This is the ACT marketing protocol has every recipe that you're ever going to need. Remember I talked about those 10,000 little meta programs that you need to fly that jumbo jet from here to New York? Well, as far as marketing goes, there's about 30 of them. There's about 30 of those little recipes, and they're all inside this ACT marketing protocol that I created. I realized that all those small business owners, the ones that were coming up to me that didn't know their market, this is what they needed. This is why they weren't successful. They didn't have that franchise blueprint to follow, and that's why they were all failing. So that's why I created it. That's my secret, and that's what I'm going to reveal to you here today. You guys, I talked a little bit about this earlier before we kind of got this started off, but these are some of the clients that I've served since 1985, back when I was doing commercial photography. A lot of these, I sat in the boardrooms and I got to work with the art directors. I got to work with all of the creative people behind those ad campaigns. And I learned exactly how they did it. And talk about footprints. Every one of the ad agencies, every one of the art directors, every one of their people all had the same recipe. They did it the same every time. And every time they did it, it came out right. Every time they did it, they succeeded. They had a successful marketing campaign. And it was like foolproof. And the thing was that I didn't get at the time, it was almost like it was reserved for these major companies that could afford it. Nobody outside of there knew the recipes. No one had shared it with them. And I didn't know why. I didn't never really questioned it. But that's what the ACT program is. It's my putting those recipes together to bring it on down. So here's a question. I got a little pop quiz for you guys. Who's the father of American advertising? I really like to go back and I like to see and understand where stuff came from. So a lot of people think that it's David Ogilvy. You know, if you follow the marketers of today, they always refer back to him as the father of American advertising, but he wasn't the one. You know, he's the one that made the Mad Men TV show out of on AMC. And Don Draper was the character that was basically
I think somebody got it right in the chat box, John. I'm surprised.
Oh, somebody got it? Awesome.
I think they did.
I bet it was one of my people.
Probably was.
So anyway, it goes way back further than that. And the father of American advertising goes back to Benjamin Franklin. And I don't know if there was anybody before him, but as I was digging, he was the furthest back I could find. And, you know, he was publishing advertisements in 1741 in his magazine. And he was actually using a formula that I'm going to show you a little later on that is one of the most powerful formulas in advertising that I've ever seen. All the ad agencies use it, and we use it. And it is like, it's a game changer. And he was using it back in 1741. So pretty cool stuff. And it's an absolute formula. You'll see it. I've got it broken down. It's a formula that you can follow, absolutely repeatable, and the outcome is predictable. Really, really cool stuff. So here is the success recipes, and I've broken it down into 3 pieces. Some of you guys might be familiar with this too, because it follows very closely to the Glaser-Kennedy triangle. For any of you that follow Glaser-Kennedy, this is very much along the same lines. You know, this is not stuff that I created. I want you guys to be clear on that. I didn't create any of this stuff. As you've seen, it goes all the way back to Benjamin Franklin. I am just compiling it and putting it into a format that you can understand what it is and how to use these recipes to cook up success in your business. So here's the way it goes. The segments is the market, the message, and traffic. And it always starts with the market. And I relate the market to segmentation. I've got recipes to show you how to segment your market to almost ensure you're going to have success. When it comes to message, it's all about the language. You have to first identify the right segment of that market, and then you got to speak their language. And I've got recipes to figure out exactly what that language should be so it converts. And then once you've got that, once you have a market and you have a language and a message to that market, you got that message to market match, then it's a matter of traffic. Those are my ideal clients, the ones that have the market and the message matched up. I can come in, I can drive traffic, and I truly come out looking like a superhero because now they're making money. And the traffic, that's where it comes down to arithmetic. You know, I talked about the client value, customer value, lifetime value. When you know your numbers, you know your traffic. You know what you can afford to spend to drive the traffic, and you can literally make all the money you want when you get that right. So let's talk about segmentation, since that's the first step. You want to make sure that the segment of your market is the most profitable segment. You might have a lot of segments, you might have a lot of different avatars and a lot of different markets, but I want to focus on one, and I want to focus on the one that is the most profitable. So some of the things we look at the size of the market. It has to be big enough to support your sales needs. Your market has to have the ability to pay. If you're going after a market that doesn't have the money for your product, guess what? You don't have a good market. You need to change that. And also, not only does it have to be big enough and they have to have the ability to pay, they have to have the willingness to pay. So if you've got something they don't want, I don't care how good it is, if you can't figure out how to spin it to where they want it, you got a loser. So I've got a couple of little examples there on the screen. And I always say, you got to have a market, not everyone uses your product. And I had a guy come up to me and he says, well, everyone uses my product. And I said, well, what is your product? Because I've never seen one that everybody needs. And he said, well, I sell water. And I'm like, oh shit, he's got me. All right, everybody needs water. And then I thought about it for a second and I'm like, okay, here's how we're going to look at that. Again, it's down to segmentation. I said, I can see 3 clear paths for you to sell the water. 3 different clientele that are going to want that water. I said, first of all, you've got the guys that'll buy the water for green purpose, to save the earth. They'll buy it from a conservation mindset. That's a group that'll buy water, right? The second group, they will buy the water for performance, for sports. It'll give them the edge, and they'll buy the water. And then you've got the health reasons. You got somebody that maybe has a disease that maybe is going to kill them. And the water will help them live longer. It might give them an extra day of life. It might give them an extra week, a month, a year. Who knows? It's going to extend their life. Okay, so here's the thing. The same water bottle. 3 different markets, 3 different segments. Which one do you think is the most profitable? Any guesses? Let's say we're going to sell that bottle of water, little bottle of water, just like this, for $25. Now, I can almost guarantee you, the guy that is conscious about the earth, he is not going to give a rat's ass about being green if the water's $25. He's not going to pay it. He doesn't care that much about the earth, right? You're going to find that. Now, the guy with the sports that's going to get the advantage, he's going to get the competitive edge. He might buy the water for $25, but he's probably not going to buy a lot of it. But the guy that thinks the water can give him an extra week of life, is he going to pay $25 for the water? All day long and twice on Sunday. That's what I'm talking about with profitable market. You've got to find where's the profitable segment of your market. If you don't start there, you're cheating yourself. And if you do start there, you'll probably never go anywhere else because you'll make so much money. You'll be in the right thing. You'll have a profitable business. You'll be following a recipe for success, and you probably won't want to backpedal. So that's why you do that. That's the first step to my program, is figuring that out. We've got recipes for all of that. Now here's a real life example, and this is one I think Daryl's been promoting. This had to do with Celine Dion. I had a customer, and he came to me, and we always do like a client intake to figure out, what it is they want to sell and what's the most profitable stuff and all that. And this guy, he sold water sports equipment. That's why you see the mask and the fins and the snorkel there. And he sold them to hotels. So we weren't selling them one at a time. We're selling, a truckload. So again, that's profitable. And at the end of the year, I have all my clients come in and I do a yearly roundup. And we look at how we've done. We look at what we can do better. And I said, okay, where was the most profit made? And what would you like us to push on in the next year moving forward? And he said, well, the most profit in my business is in water slides. And I'm like, whoa, that's the first I've heard of that. You didn't say that at all in the first meeting. And he said, well, that's really where the profit is. And I'm like, okay, well, that would have been nice to know a year ago, but knowing it now, let's move forward. I adjusted their SEO campaign for water slides, and he gets a call on a Saturday morning, very shortly after I adjusted that campaign. And the woman on the other end of the line said, "This is Celine Dion." And he thought it was a joke, and he hung up on her. And being persistent, she called right back. And she said, "Hey, this is Celine Dion." And he said, "Really?" He goes, "Well, what can I do for you?" And she said, "Well, I'm calling because I want a water slide put in my backyard." And he was really kind of puzzled. He says, "Well, how did you hear about me?" And she said, "I Googled water slide developers and you came up first." She says, that makes me assume that you must be the best." And she had him on a plane that afternoon out to Las Vegas, and he wound up putting $1 million water slide in her backyard. Here's a picture of it right here. And that was because we changed his profitable segment. Now, shortly after that, he came back to me and he was so excited about that. He's like, "I want to do water parks." I said, "Well, can you even do a water park?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "I've got the contractors, I've got the know-how, I've got everything I need. I can build water parks." So we changed the program again. And I don't know how many months, it was a few months down the line, he called me and he said, "You'll never guess what just happened." He said, "I just signed a deal to put $100 million water park in Dubai." That is off of targeting, getting the right segment. So when I say this stuff is important, it's, how important does that sound, Daryl, to get the market right, get that segment right? It's pretty darn important. So here's step 2. After you figure out who that right market is, then you're going to want to figure out who is the person in that market. Who am I really targeting? Because I want to know who I'm talking to. So you guys have all heard avatar. You might not really know your avatar to the level you're going to know here shortly. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with it, avatar is simply a representation of your ideal client. These are your most profitable customers. And one of the biggest reasons that I say you need to figure out who your ideal client is so you can attract them. There's 2 big reasons. First one is so you can attract the right one, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't want to attract this guy. How many of you have had this guy as a customer? You don't want any more of those. You've heard the 80-20 rule. This guy is going to chew up 80% of your time, and he's only going to bring you 20% of your income. So fire him. Get rid of this guy. Get him out of your life. And don't attract him to begin with. Only attract your ideal clients. Fire your bad clients. It's the one thing I can tell you right now is get rid of them. They're chewing up your time and your resources, and they're not bringing you any money. They're not getting you where you want to go. Only attract your ideal client with the right message. Now, a couple of the ways you want to do this. And here's another thing. I told you there was 2 things to that. Here's the second thing. The second reason why you want to focus on an avatar is so you can know the language. Remember we talked about the message to the market? You got to have that message to the market. So we need to know how to speak to these people. If you don't do this, what will happen when you get into the next phase in creating that message, what you're going to do is you're going to speak to the market. And let me let you in on another little secret. The market doesn't have a credit card. Your ideal customers have credit cards. That's why it's so important to speak to an avatar, not a market, because that's who your buyer is. So let's speak directly to them. Let's talk to them in a language they understand and they're comfortable with. So the way to figure that out, I've got 3 of my recipes down here. First being the timeline. The first thing on the timeline is figuring out where your ideal client is. The next thing is figuring out on the far end of the timeline, where do they want to be? What are the problems that they're experiencing? Maybe they're in pain. Maybe they want to be out of pain. That might be their timeline. So if you have a product that eliminates their pain, that's a perfect match. So you need to understand that. You need to understand that timeline so you know what the hurdles are that they're going to have to overcome to get from where they are to where they want to be. So that's what we use as the timeline. That's one of our secret recipes, if you will. Another one is level of awareness. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a few minutes, but level awareness, you need to know where they are. Are they even aware of the problem that they have? And this opens up an enormous market opportunity if they don't. If they're unaware, most marketers will skip over it. They will only target the people that are aware of the problem, and that's the smallest piece of the pie. So I'm going to show you how to get the biggest piece of the pie with level of awareness. And wants, emotions, and beliefs. And here's the thing with that. That is the most important thing you're ever going to do, is figure out the wants, emotions, and beliefs of your prospect so you know what their objections are. That's what we're going for. So here's the timeline. And just, as a general layout, you've got the current situation at the start, and you've got the desired outcome at the end. In the middle, you've got the milestones and the hurdles. So you've probably all heard of a lead magnet. The best lead magnet that you could possibly put out to your customers, and Matt Basak talked about this yesterday, and he's awesome. That guy has made more money than you can imagine by giving out lead magnets. Well, here's the thing. Here's a recipe to figure out what the best lead magnet is for your market. It's the first step that they need to take to get to their desired outcome. Because what that's going to do, if you give them that first step, that's like giving them a result in advance. You've heard Frank Kern, he's another, I don't know if he's on here, but he's definitely a god of the internet. And that's what he talks about. He talks about results in advance. So if you can give them that first thing for free, that they can get some benefit, their desire to buy from you is going to go through the roof. It's called creating demand and desire for your product before you even sell it, before they even know how much it costs. It makes price irrelevant. It's an awesome thing to do. So that's in the timeline. You've got to figure out all the stuff that they need to do. And the more things that you can give them along this timeline, the closer you can get them to that desired outcome, the higher their desire to achieve the goal is going to become, the more they will pay, and the more likely they are to buy. So that's where we need to figure that out. In the scheme of things, this is one of those really, really important recipes if you want to be successful. Now, I talked about level of awareness, and the biggest market opportunities lie in the bottom of this pyramid. This is the pyramid of awareness. So let's say your product serves people in all levels. You have to figure out which level you want to engage them at. If they're already aware of a solution, then you're going to engage them at the solution aware. And you're going to run ads based on that. You're going to draw them into your funnel based on solution aware, and your lead magnets are going to be based on that. Now, here's the thing. The higher they are in the pyramid, the closer they are to a buying decision, but also the smaller amount of people. So if you want to get people to a quick sale, you interact with them at the product aware or the offer aware. They're ready to buy at that point. But it's a small market. It's a very small segment. If you go down to the people that are problem aware, they have just become aware of the problem and they haven't been aware of the solution yet. So what you do is you engage them and you educate them. You take them through an education-based marketing system that what it does, it allows them to discover that you're the ideal solution for them. It builds demand and desire for your product, and it just creates this desire that is going to make your product irresistible. And it makes price irrelevant. It makes sales irrelevant. All you have to do is produce the offer or present the offer rather, and they're going to buy it. They're not going to shop around. When you lead them through that education-based process, you're eliminating the competition. You're basically teaching them how to buy, how to consume, how to use your product. And you're setting the buying criteria. When you set the buying criteria, no one else is going to match. So you've eliminated the competition. You've eliminated price resistance. You no longer have to be the cheapest one in the market to compete. All of that's out the window. That's the way you want to market. Now, the completely unaware, and this is where your major opportunity I talked about was, if you look at the Agora publishing model, Agora Publishing, they are close to $1 billion in product sales by selling a handful of info products to like 5 or 6 different niches. And they attack the completely unaware. They make you aware of a problem that you didn't know you had 5 minutes ago, and then they take you through an education-based marketing system, and they create demand and desire, and they have the biggest market. They have the biggest pot to pull from. Yeah, it's a longer sales process, but it's an automated sales funnel. Who cares? Let's just pour them in. Let's load them in there and let the marketing system do its job. Create demand and desire for the product and kick sales out the end. How does that sound? Pretty good stuff here, huh? Here's wants, emotions, and beliefs. And wants always come from the heart. The heart is what wants to buy. The heart is the easiest thing to get to want something. And then the head comes in. And the head says, no, we're not doing that. So you need emotions to seduce the heart, but then you need facts and beliefs to convince the head. So you got to seduce the heart, convince the head. Logic convinces the head. Beliefs, remember I talked about beliefs earlier, those become the objections? That's so true. When you have beliefs, when your prospect has beliefs, maybe they believe that, they can't solve the problem. Maybe they believe that because they've already bought 3 competitive items and nothing solved the problem. So maybe they have this belief that, nothing's going to work for them. That's an objection. You have to understand that. When you understand that, you can create logic to convince the head that it really does work and it will work for you. And we do that with a formula called C plus B, or C plus P plus B. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's the one that Benjamin Franklin used 276 years ago. And it's one of the most powerful things that I've seen in marketing. So now we're on to language. Now, great marketing is a message to market match. And I guarantee you, if you get that right, it's going to make selling superfluous. You're not going to need a sales team. Your items are going to sell like hotcakes. It happens by creating demand and desire. And I'm going to use McDonald's. I'm going to pick on McDonald's again. But here's a question for you. How many salespeople work in a McDonald's? When was the last time you walked into a McDonald's and was faced with a salesman trying to sell you something? They don't need to. They've already created. Their marketing has created demand and desire for the product. So all they need is order takers. That's why they can run $1 billion business with high school kids. They're just following formulas. They just stand at the counter and they take orders. So, what would you rather do? Would you rather make sales calls and pull your hair out? Or would you rather be there answering the phone and taking orders? That's what great marketing will do. We talk about a home run marketing campaign. When you get this right, this is what you're going to get. You're going to have that home run marketing campaign. And hopefully, you guys, hopefully you're writing this stuff down. This is golden wisdom here. If you interact and you put some of this to work in your business, any of it, it's all going to help you. You tie it all together and you're going to have a winner. You're going to get that home run marketing campaign. So here it is. You seduce the heart with claims, promises, and emotions. And then you convince the head with proof, features, and benefits. That's how you do it. When you're creating your marketing message, that's how you do it. So you want to, and I said this earlier, You lead your prospect through that learning process where they get to discover why your solution is the absolute perfect solution for them and nothing else matters. You set that buying criteria and you literally eliminate the competition by doing this. So we've talked about it a few times here. Now here it is. Now this is that C plus B, C plus P plus B. It's claim, proof, benefit. That's the recipe. You make a claim, you follow it up with proof points, and then you attach the benefits to it. Benjamin Franklin actually used this to sell his wood-burning stove. And later on, it was admitted that his wood-burning stove was not the best one on the market. But because of his marketing, it's still today perceived as being one of the best heaters ever invented. And he used claim, proof, benefit to sell it. He made the claim of how it worked. He used scientific things to claim. He used third-party verification as proof, and then he tied it to the benefits. And he sold those like hotcakes using that formula. Now, I'm going to show you, again, how to use that in your marketing. But that is part of how we create those beliefs. If your customer or your prospect has a belief that is against them purchasing your product or will not allow them to, like maybe they think that won't work for them, you make a claim that it will, you follow it up with proof, and then you tie the benefits. And now all of a sudden you have created a new belief. And now they have the belief that they can purchase your product. So that's how it works, and it's awesome. In education-based marketing, that's what we're doing. We're basically either creating or installing these beliefs so people can actually purchase from you. Because if they have the belief that it doesn't work, they can't make the purchase. The head won't allow it. Even though the heart wants it, the head won't allow it. So there's 4 types of beliefs that they need to make the purchase from you. First of all, they have to have the belief in themselves that they can acquire the desired outcome. They have to believe they can get it. They have to believe they can do it. They also have to have the belief in the product or the market. Sometimes you have to change what they believe about the market. If they don't believe that the right thing is in the market to get the job done, then you need to create that belief. They need to have a belief that the product will actually do what it says. And they have to have the belief that you are the right person to do the job, or you're the right one that they should trust and purchase from. So notice there in the formula, I've got C times 1. That is 1 claim followed up by P times 2. That's 2 proof points. And this is the absolute best way you can do this, is follow up a claim, every claim with 2 proof points, followed by 3 benefits, the B times 3. So with proof, a lot of you are probably wondering, how do you prove things? The best proof you can use is third-party data. Because when you make the claim, that's one thing. You can make a claim and somebody's going to say, yeah, okay, well, that's hearsay. But then when you follow it up with proof that someone else said it in the market, or maybe it was on the news, maybe it was documented, maybe it was, in a study somewhere, that's third-party verification. Even if it's just in the media, and we all know that whatever the media says isn't necessarily gospel, right? But just because it's said in the media, it's third-party verification. Maybe it's an article in a trade magazine. You can find data that supports almost any claim. That's third-party verification. You can find it in social media. You can say, wow, well, 50 people tried the product and it worked. That's social proof. Any proof point works. You can also leverage their own experience. You might say, hey, well, if you put a match, you light a match and you put it under your hand, you're going to feel heat, right? That's going on their own experience. That's proof. So you want to make sure that you have at least 2 proof points to this. And then you move into the benefits. Now, I said benefits is B times 3. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but I'm going to show you how to three-dimensionalize your benefits that is going to work like crazy. So you need to use these claims to install or replace those beliefs. So that's in short what the education-based marketing system is all about. Now, I just talked about the 3 benefits. Here's how you do it. You want to make them 3-dimensionalized so they can hear it, see it, and feel it. So the hear it is the functional, the see it is the dimensional, and the feel it is the emotional. And I'll give you an example of that. If we were selling diet pills, I'm going to say, take the pill and lose weight, right? Okay, so you hear it. That's the functional benefit. Take the pill and lose weight. That's where most marketers stop. And that's just the beginning. Next, I want to dimensionalize it, and I want them to see it. Now, if you're wanting to lose weight, you probably remember what you looked like 20 pounds ago, right? So all you have to do is evoke that image. You can pull that image into anybody's head just by saying it. You know, if anybody thinks that I can't control their mind, I'm going to show you different here, because all I have to do is say pink elephant, and you probably have a picture right now in your head of seeing a pink elephant or what that looks like to you. Obviously, there is no pink elephant. There never was. But you've got one in your head, and I just put it there. So when you dimensionalize the benefits, you can do this. All you have to say is, imagine seeing yourself in the mirror looking 20 pounds lighter. They know what that looks like. That picture's already there. You're just going to bring it back up for them. So now we've done the functional and the dimensional, and then we move to the emotional. And this goes back to the original analysis of the avatar, figuring out on their timeline, why do they want to lose the weight? Okay, that's the wants, emotions, and beliefs. So I know if it's a woman, let's say, and she wants to lose weight because she's going to her class reunion. So I'm going to pull the feel it into that. And I'm going to say, imagine what it's going to feel like when you walk into the room and everyone turns their head and notices you. That's powerful. That's hear it, see it, feel it. If you start 3-dimensionalizing your benefits, forget features. Features don't sell. Benefits sell. Benefits is what the heart wants. It's what the heart desires. So you use the benefits to lock in and seal the deal. You've got to use the logic to convince the head to get past that. But when you 3-dimensionalize your benefits, the heart is going to scream for the sale. This is what changes everything. So I have given you guys a ton of content here for how to do a home run marketing campaign. And I am really telling you, this literally changes everything for you. I mean, we're not even done yet. You know, let's go even further. Let's talk about the unique mechanism. A lot of people call this like your unique selling proposition. And who the hell knows what that means, right? What's a unique selling proposition? I don't even know what that means, but I am going to tell you what a unique mechanism is. And this is the thing that does the work that delivers the results that you're promising. You know, let's use the diet pill again. Think about how easy it would be to sell a diet pill if you were the first one to market and your claim was, take this pill. This pill is the unique mechanism that's going to get you to lose the weight. It's the thing that's going to do the work. You take the pill, you're going to lose the weight. The pill does the work, right? Now, imagine 3 months down the line, you got 10 people all selling the same pill, saying, take the pill, lose weight. That's where people say you need a unique selling proposition. But no, that's not true. You need a unique mechanism to deliver the result. So what happens when you have 10 people selling the same thing? Now you've got that price war. Do not ever get yourself into a business where you're price warring. You're going to eliminate your profit. You're going to kill yourself. So Eliminate that by a unique mechanism. So what do? Yeah, we're all selling the same pill. Okay, well, next thing up. My pill now has Garcinia cambogia. That's the unique mechanism. That's why the other pills didn't work. That's what's going to deliver the result. Now, how hard is it going to be for the other 9 guys to sell against you? Does it matter if yours is twice the price? No, because you're delivering the desired outcome. That's the unique mechanism. So, here's the thing. The reality is, all 10 of them had that to begin with. It's just nobody was saying it. So now that they've seen what you're doing, now they all say, okay, our pill. Now you got 10 vendors. They all have Garcinia cambogia. It's back to a price war. What do now? You expand upon it. You just expand upon the promise, expand upon the unique mechanism. Our Garcinia cambogia is cold pressed. The others go through a heat process that kills the enzyme that actually delivers the results. Again, we have a unique mechanism. Ours is different. Ours stands out. Ours is worth the price. It's no longer a price war. So you see how that works, the unique mechanism? It's absolutely awesome. It's a game changer. And then we're down to traffic. And traffic, again, I talked about this originally. It's just arithmetic. You know, if let's say your cost per click is 50 cents, we know that 100 clicks is going to cost you 50 bucks, right? That's your cost per click is 50 cents. So if you got one sale out of 100, that's a 1% conversion ratio. So if our cost per click is 50 cents and we're getting a 1% conversion ratio, then it's basically, it's going to cost us $50 per sale, right? So if you look at your customer value, that's the amount of the sale, and actually that's not the customer value, that's just the amount of your original sale. If your original sale is $97 and you have a 1% conversion ratio and your cost per click is 50 cents, that's just arithmetic. That math equation says that you're going to have, it's going to cost you $50, so you're going to take 50 off of the 97 and you're going to have $47 profit left, right? That's your customer value or your cost of sale minus the traffic cost equals your profit. Well, if you just increase that by 1%, you take it up to 2%, look at what happens to the profit. It goes up to $72 instead of $47, just by a 1% bump in conversion. Now, where do you get that bump in conversion? By making sure your message to market match is right on the money. The better you do that, the higher your conversion is going to be, the less your traffic's going to cost you, and the more profit you're going to make. So that's why all of these little systems, all of these recipes, they all add up together to make just an unbelievable marketing campaign. So what happens when you don't follow the recipe? You know, I talked about, disasters also have footprints. Well, you have the recipe for disaster. When you don't follow the recipe, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a disaster. Look at this. This is out of Forbes magazine. Remember I talked about third-party verification for proof? I just made a claim. Now I'm backing it up with proof. 80% gone in 18 months. That's not me saying it. This is Forbes magazine. This is third-party verification. They're talking about the 5 reasons that 8 out of 10 businesses fail. Now it happens to be these 5 reasons are all right in the heart of our system. And we give you the recipes to make sure you're not going to be in this 80% failure. We're giving you the advantage that the people have when they purchase a franchise, and 96% are successful. That's when you've got the right recipes. So you can avoid this. Imagine this is your business plan. That's a disaster. You want to avoid that. That's a bad recipe. You want to make sure that you've got the recipe for success. And believe me, It's not just one recipe. Remember the guy that gets in the airline cockpit. There's 10,000 little meta programs he needs to successfully and safely take that plane off, navigate to New York, and land it so everyone on board is happy and goes home. If you get the wrong recipes in that mix, you know what's going to happen. It's the same thing for your business. When you get the recipe for success right, you literally have a money printing machine. You can use that arithmetic and figure out how many new customers do I need at this profit range to get me the amount of income I want. You can force the issue. If you need more money, you just spend more on ads. You buy more traffic. You get higher conversions. You change your numbers. You change your outcome. It's just like a recipe. If you want double, you make a double batch, but you follow the recipe. You just double it down. You want to go 100 times? Same thing. Make it 100 times. You'll make 100 times the money, whatever the profit is, whatever your math works out to, it is scalable. That's the awesome part of this. And that's where it comes to the ACT marketing protocol. I don't know if I told you guys what the ACT stood for. It's analysis, creation, and traffic. And I guarantee you, if you start doing your business and you get this out of order, you're going to have a recipe for disaster. I see this constantly. I see people jumping in and building websites before they've even created their marketing plan or their strategy. They don't know who their market is. They don't know their avatar, and they're building a website. How are you going to create a market message match if you don't have the analysis done first? I see people all the time jumping right into SEO. They don't even have their message right. How are they going to convert? They've got the sequence out of order, and they're going to fail. They're going to be in that 80% that Forbes said is going to be out of business in 18 months. Is that what you want? I don't think so. I think you guys want to be on the right side of that fence. That's why I developed the ACT program. I call it like the little blue pill for business. If your sales are down, or let's rephrase that, if your sales have gone limp, you might need ACT. It's the little blue pill for business. So, to put it simple, ACT is the simple step-by-step solution that you need to live financially free. It's what's going to give you the ability to take all those products and things that you've purchased and take them off the shelf and actually put them to work in your business. When you get the strategy down and you've got the recipes right, you are going to see that you've got all the stuff that you need right at your fingertips to make this happen. You probably already bought all the programs that you need. You just need these little recipes in place to make sure that they all work and they all tie together. And this is like my favorite line. It's profit doesn't have to be painful. How many of you guys are in pain right now trying to find profit? I've been there. I know what it feels like. It's horrible. And that's that whole state of confusion and stuff. That's why I created the recipes for success. And it's just ahead. You guys are really close at this point. Success is just ahead. Here's what I've done. This is another thing. This is part of the creation process that I teach you in the ACT program is you've got to have unique stuff. You've got to stand out. So, a lot of people have a 30-day money-back guarantee, right? So naturally, I need the same thing. But here's how I'm going to uniquify it. This is a teaching point here. I've taken the same 30-day money-back guarantee that's normally dull and boring and everyone has it, and I made it unique. I say mine is a shark bite guarantee. If for any reason in the first 30 days you decide the program is not for you, all you have to do is just call us up, tell us the shark bit it. No questions asked, 100% money back guarantee. No risk on your part. So again, it's upping the bar. It's taking what's normal and making it extraordinary. That's what you want to do in your marketing. So here's what's included in the ACT program. You have the whole analysis section. This is where we give you the overview, the market segmentation, avatar creation, and then we go into a competitor analysis. You have to know what the competitors are doing so you can create your unique mechanism. You want to see the gaps in the market. We teach you how to do that. Next, we move into creation. Once you've got your analysis down, we understand your avatar, we understand the market, we understand the competitors. Now, and only now, are we ready to create things like websites, landing pages, offers, lead magnets. Now we know what to do. It almost like dictates, one dictates the other. Moving forward, it's a smooth system. So we go through an overview. I talk about the tools that are required to do the actual, a lot of the stuff, there's tools that just make this brain dead simple. And none of them are expensive. You're not talking about thousands of dollars here. You're talking about tools that are under $100 to get this stuff done. It's awesome stuff. We talk about the hook, the hook of what's going to bring them in, how to create high demand products, irresistible offers, copywriting, leads, landing pages, the sales vehicle, order forms. There's tricks to making order forms that convert. Remember the difference between a 1% conversion? Just getting your order page right can give you a 1% conversion. How much more profit would that give you? It's back to the math. It's awesome stuff here, guys. And then once we get that, and we've got creation, then and only then are we ready for traffic. And I'm going to show you exactly the exact traffic sources that you need to fill your funnels. Because your avatar, when you understand them, you're going to understand where they are and where we need to advertise to them. If your market is unaware, search engine optimization is not going to do the trick for you because they're not searching. They're unaware. So we're going to have to get them in a different means. And I'm going to show you how to do all of that. There's a quick start guide. The ACT workbook is a full workbook. It's like 150 pages of fill in the blanks step by step, and you got your whole marketing campaign pretty much dialed in. We also give you cheat sheets and swipe files, a whole bunch of that kind of stuff to help. And then this is where a lot of people lose it. They'll buy the program and then they take it home and they're done. They're on their own. Ours includes ongoing support. Remember we talked in the beginning? I love the low price, the $30 a month. This also has the same thing. It's $29.97 a month to continue the support. Again, that gives you access to me every week for an hour. If you get stuck, I'm right there to hold your hand. For under $30 a month, you've got me on your team to create a home run marketing campaign. Is that a deal or what? We have a community website that's exclusive for our members. It's like our own Facebook, but it's on our site. I actually created it using the same framework that Facebook used to create Facebook. So it looks very similar, it acts very similar, but it's our own proprietary system. And then we've got the K Club membership, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, so I'm going to skip it for now, but we're going to come back to that. Weekly support calls. Like I said, you get access to me every week on the calls, and then you've got 24/7 support forums. If you've got questions, you can go in there. Your question's probably been asked before, so you can get the answer almost instantly if that's the case. And then every once in a while, we'll do focus groups through video conferencing just to give you added support and benefits, as you go through and build your campaigns. Also, inside the members area, you're going to get access to some of our certified coaches that are coaching people through this on a very high level. We also do, you're probably asking, do they do done-for-you service? This sounds freaking awesome, but I don't want to do it. Yes, we do. We have got a full done-for-you services if you want to go that direction. We've also got, for those of you that want to do a higher level, you want to do it yourself, but you want a lot more hand-holding, we've got what's called the ACT Apprentice Program. And the only way to get to those done-for-you services in the ACT Apprentice Program is through the ACT program itself. That gives you access to all the coaches and all of that. So bonuses, like you need bonuses, right, on top of all this. But we've got a thing called the Freedom Formula lesson and the worksheet. And that's to help you with that math, help you figure out how many products you need to move to create your ideal lifestyle. It's really a cool exercise to do Daryl is doing a lot of stuff on mindset, and that's what that freedom formula is all about. Get you in the mindset and really kind of break you of the habit of thinking that you're unworthy and you can't do this and it would never work for you. That freedom formula is awesome for that. We have a complete resource guide showing you all the tools and stuff that we use and give you access to all of that. There's video recordings of our first live event that we did. And that's another thing. You guys get access to all of our live events for just the price of the food because we feed you guys at the live events. So you guys will
John,
get
can I
access.
share this with him? Because I mean, I was at your guys' live event here
Yeah,
not too long ago. I mean, I flew out to California, and gosh, what was that? Was that in May? What month was that?
yeah, that was in May, end of
It
May.
seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. And John had it was just amazing room. It was, I don't know, about 100 people that were there. He had a coach for every single table that was there. You know, that was the coolest thing. That live event alone was, I think people paid $500 for just to be there for the live event. And every single table had a coach. And when I say a coach, I mean like one guy. I mean it was not just all the same coach. Like what was the gentleman, the Fusionsoft gentleman? You
Oh,
guys had the
yeah, Justin.
Justin. Yeah, Justin was there. He knew Infusionsoft in and out. The gentleman about the story, how to work on your story.
Yep.
Trying, I mean, these guys are just phenomenal in their own right. They're a bunch of Johns sitting at everybody's table, basically all around the room. A guy knew like Facebook ads like super well. I mean, just the coaches that were there. I mean, like it was phenomenal, John, just to be in the room. And I was sitting there taking notes. I had pages full of notes and taking notes and stuff like that. John had me get up and talk on mindset and kind of started off a little bit. And that was the thing is like, you know, when you get around, you can, you know, rub elbows with, you know, people like John, and you get a chance to get into his network and the people that he actually has access to, guys. It was phenomenal, you know, to get a chance to do that. So I just want to thank you, John, for the opportunity. I brought one of my buddies. He's a good entrepreneur as well. He's a Army medic for 10 years, and he left out of there, and he didn't. I mean, it was his first time ever going to something like that, and he had the notebook. He's like, "Oh my gosh, my brain is ready to explode right now." I mean, like I was exhausted after just like the amount of information intake, and for him, it was like the first time. It was like that little kid with the fire hydrant, you know. So, John, that's amazing offer just in itself to be able to get access to those individuals in that room, because
Yeah.
just that's crazy, man. I can't believe you just threw that in there. So I
Yeah.
just want to put that out there to everybody.
And like I said, I do those events several times a year, and they are implementation workshops. They're for you to take what you've learned in the act. Because, you know, in the act, you've got video, you've got me, you're looking over my shoulder as as I'm teaching you every step of the process, every recipe, every formula. And then, you know, you get to come together in a live event to actually implement that and get access to all my coaches. In 2 full days, we only charge $99 for that for our members. And, you know, like I said, we feed you for that. It basically covers our food at the hotel for 2 days for you. So that's a pretty cool deal. And here's the other thing. You can actually bring your team. All we ask is that you just pay the $99 per person, and you can bring as many people as you want to that event. If you've got a team of tech guys, you got 5 guys, for $500, bring them out for 2 days. I'm going to train them for you. I'm going to help them implement all of this stuff into your business for you. That, you just don't see that kind of offer. That's pretty cool. And then I talked about that 100K club. This is something new that I'm starting, and basically it's for the first people to actually implement their funnels in each group. And I'm doing this per group because a lot of times, you know, you guys will start in and people will already be ahead of you. But per each group, the first one in that group that actually creates the marketing campaign that hits $100,000 in sales. And this is not hard to do, guys. Once you get your conversion numbers, you can actually buy your way to win this game. This is the 100K challenge. I have these gold bars that are replicas of a $100,000 bill with Woodrow Wilson on it. And that's the prize. I'm giving those away to the first people in each group that hit the 100K. When you hit that, you're in what's called our 100K club. Now, there is an enormous amount of benefits to being in the 100K club, including you get the privilege of actually being one of our coaches and being able to get paid to help other people achieve that status that you've got. And, you know, I've got another level to this whole club. Obviously, it starts with an M, but I'm just going to keep it here at the 100K for now. So that's, again, part of the program that you get into. So the ACT program with the Shark Bite guarantee is $19.97, and that's the price of the entire program. And again, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. If there's anything at all you find about the program that's not for you, you just call up. You say, "Hey, the shark bit it." 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked. Now, if that wasn't good enough, I've got something that I am putting together for you guys, and it goes back to that whole results in advance thing. It's a results in advance bonus. And this is just kind of an outline. We call the ACT program, we call it the Predictable Client Getting System. Analysis, creation, and traffic. And this over here is the blueprint of the whole program. Those are all the recipes that you're going to learn. But here's the deal. We're going to give you this results in advance bonus. And the way it's going to be is I've split it up into payments. And basically, to get into the program, you make the first payment, and it's $4.97 right here. You pay $4.97 to get into the program, and your second payment is not due until you make your first $100,000 with the program. That's a results in advance guarantee. So you guys get access to everything for the $4.97. You know, that's basically like $1.36 a day. For $1.36 a day, are you going to pass this up? Are you going to miss out on all the success recipes? It would be crazy. What could you buy for $1.36? Not even half of a Big Mac. You might buy a bite of a Big Mac. You know, that's crazy. And here's something else I'm going to do for you guys. I'm looking to get testimonials for this program. This is a new program, and I want very badly to get these 100,000 testimonials. So when you hit the 100K, I am going to eliminate your second payment altogether and trade for a video testimonial. So all you guys are ever going to pay for the program is the $4.97. That's it. The results in advance guarantee, that's yours. You're going to trade the second payment for a video testimonial, and this automatically puts you into the recurring revenue system that is the support system at just under $30 a month. It's $29.97 a month. So that's it. That's like my gift to you with no strings attached. You know, if you get it, you spend the next 30 days and you decide it's not for you, shark bite guarantee, complete money back. If you do like it, awesome. You get all those benefits. Again, that's my gift to you, the results in advance guarantee. Now, here's the thing. If you don't get this, ask yourself, what are you going to do? Are you going to remain in that state of confusion? Are you going to stay there? Or how are you going to get out? If you don't do this, I've put all the recipes together for you. If you don't do it, what are you going to do? That's my question to you. So again, that's it. $4.97 today. Here's the link. I know you guys were probably chomping at the bit to figure out how to get it. It's john.gotis.info. And that's how you get in. So Daryl, at this point, do you have questions? Or I know you probably got some questions coming in on the line there.
We got a few questions coming in. So one of the questions I have, John, how's that gold bar work, man? Because that's pretty cool.
That is, I mean,
I remember,
when I
I remember you showed me that about 4 or 5 months ago now, and I was like blown away. You did it on the show we did live, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I've been collecting those for years, and I've got about a dozen of them. So
Yeah.
they're they're pretty hard to come by because there was only so many of them in circulation. But every once in a while, I'll find them on eBay, and I always snap them up whenever I can find them. So I figure that makes the perfect prize for my 100K club. And it's, it ties everything in. It's so perfect. It's a replica of $100,000 bill, and what it actually is, it's 4 ounces of solid silver, and then it's 24 gold carat plated. So that's what it actually is. It's a 24 karat gold plated silver bar in the replica of a $100,000 bill. Most people don't even know that there was a $100,000 bill out there, and they were.
I didn't until you showed me that day. Who thinks that'd be pretty cool to get the $100,000 bill? Put a yes in the chat box, guys. Put a Y in there. Make sure you guys. Yeah, that's $100,000 bill he's got his hands on.
Yeah, every time I take that to an event and I show it off, people just go nuts for it. So I cannot wait to give the first one out, and we're getting with the first group of people. I think we're getting pretty close. There's a lot of people now they're really starting to crack the code. They're through the analysis, and guys, I don't want to sugarcoat this. I don't want you guys to think that, this is an easy thing. There's a lot of steps to it. If you saw that blueprint, there's like 30 different recipes to actually get this right. These are all the success recipes that all of these gurus, all of the gods, I guarantee you, they are all doing this unconsciously. They don't even know what they're doing in some cases, but if you look, they're getting the results. They're all getting the same results. They're all following the same footsteps. They're all using the same recipes. The genius in the ACT program is identifying what all those things were. And I gotta tell you, the first time I released the program, I tried to release the program about a year ago. In fact, it was right at a year ago in August, and I thought I knocked it out of the park. I had a live event. I had 65 people in the room, and every one of them changed their business model because of what they learned from the original ACT program. But the problem was when I cut them loose, they left the room. No one actually could implement. And I thought, well, I thought I hit it out of the park, but obviously I didn't. So I called 12 of those people back in, and we did a beta group. And I said, I want to walk you guys through. I want to make sure that I understand where the gaps are, where you're losing it, how you're not accomplishing the task. And that's where I realized that unconscious competency. And I tasked that group of 12 people to pull everything that they needed to be successful out of me. And that's where all those recipes came from. Most of that stuff I wouldn't even have thought to talk about. I didn't realize that, I just thought, hey, this is common knowledge. Everybody knows this stuff. And that's where I was wrong. That's where most of the gurus are wrong. They all have great products to sell you, but will you get the results without all those little recipes for success? Chances are not so much.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, guys, is I've seen this time and time again, and I learned this myself the hard way a little bit. It's just like you learn this one thing, you put it into action, but then there's this one thing of like, well, how did they do that? A lot of times it's like Michael Jordan. You ask him how he shot so many baskets, or some of these guys, it's like they just got really good at it. They don't remember. He's not a very good basketball coach or a very good owner of the team or whatever he was doing, but he's a hell of a player. So that's one of the things that I know. John's a hell of a player, and those guys really put the screws to him and got all the information out of him to build that whole program. I remember talking to some of the guys that were in there. So I want to open up the question and answer. Now's your time to ask John whatever question you want. Here's a guy that, has done it, been there, through beginning of the internet, basically. I mean, like when it was first getting started, pre-Google terms, pre-Yahoo. I mean, like, guys, he's been around forever. This is your opportunity right now to ask him whatever it is you want. You know, just blow up the chat box now at this point, guys. Give us a hell yeah, give us a thanks for John coming out tonight and sharing the knowledge he did with you right now, because this is the stuff, guys, that really changes your life. And it could also change your zip code. It can change your car, you know, change where your kids are going to school. I mean, when you're getting recurring income the way he's been able to create it and all the businesses he's done, he's given that to you guys right here, teaching you exactly what he's doing. So I just want to say thanks, John, for me personal. Thank you for coming out and doing this for everybody.
Yeah, no,
So
I'm really happy to do it. That's the whole reason I put this together, because I see so many people struggling and they're stuck in that confusion. They don't know what to do. So
yeah,
now they know. Now it's available. There should be no question what to do. You just follow all the recipes, and you know it's the same thing. It's just like Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. Those clues are the recipes that I've put down. All you have to do is follow the footsteps. They're there.
well, I got Paul here unmuted. Paul, you have any questions for John here? You're posting stuff in the chat box there. Paul, go ahead and say something, but you're unmuted. Yeah, sometimes he has the microphone on. If you guys have any microphone questions, you know, feel free to unmute you. Ramon said, great webinar. Christine is like, thank you, John.
Awesome.